I'm Karen. Hello. Nice to meet you all.
Hi, nice to meet you, Karen. This
Thanks.
is, we have Jen, Jillian, and I'm Corey from Autism Virtually. We're going to interview Karen today about Fragile X syndrome.
Yes.
And I think that Jillian is going to start with the first question.
Sure.
So to start off, can you tell us a little about your son and who he is as a person?
Oh gosh. Okay. So Jake is our oldest. He's 29. He will actually be 30 in April. I shouldn't be that old, but at any rate, he is just an amazing kiddo. He is nonverbal. For the most part, he will say certain things like no or yes, and he'll use signs with those. He does use several signs. He kind of has made up some of his own, but he's very comfortable in his home and his surroundings, and because we keep things pretty routine for him, he's and we've been communicating with him on so many levels for so long that we just kind of are intuitive needs. And he, even sometimes without signing or saying words, we can figure out what he wants. He also can help himself with a lot of his needs, but he loves YouTube. He loves TV shows that are more, relatable for kids, but he also is a huge sports fan. He loves football. He loves, actually, his bigger, most favorite thing right now is kind of hockey for some reason. He loves hockey, but he'll watch anything on TV, from church to cops to Sesame Street. He loves Disney, and his absolute favorite is Ariel from Little Mermaid. He has been in love with her since he was little, and most of his shirts have Little Mermaid on there. His books, he carries a book around that's Little Mermaid. He loves Pooh. He loves Thomas. I mean, who doesn't love all of those? Those are a lot of everyone's favorites, but he is super funny. He's got a great sense of humor. He's very easygoing. And that got to be more so as he's gotten older. He went through a really rough period when he was younger, and he couldn't communicate his needs. And he just, going through puberty was hard with the hormone changes, but he's just really mellowed out. It takes a lot to get him very frustrated now. Of course, like most people with autism or anxiety, if you take them out of their routine, it's frustrating. But he goes to a day program with other 18 and older individuals. He's been doing that since high school ended for him, which was at age 21. He loves, music. He really gravitates to men usually who are funny or loud. Some of his friends he's made at his day program are the ones who are kind of loud, and a couple of them know he likes jokes. He absolutely loves jokes, especially knock jokes. So if you got any good ones, send them my way, because I think I've used all of them that are out there, and I'm like, I need some new material. But yeah, he's an amazing kid. He's so smart with receptive language, but it's just that expressive language with his an ability to, to form the words, and I don't know why, the apraxia of his language, but he pretty much understands anything we, tell him or direct him to do or ask him to do. I think sometimes he pretends he doesn't know when we're asking him to do something, but he knows what we're asking him to do in reality. But yeah, he's just overall a great kid. I say kid, but he'll always be my little guy. So, But
Yep.
yeah, he's awesome. I think some of you have seen pictures and videos of him on our group page. So
Yeah, you have a Facebook group called
Yeah.
Life with Jake.
yeah,
Is that correct?
yeah. I
So-
just started it recently, and it's just kind of a way to share about him and Fragile X and autism. So I'm really glad I ended up doing it. It's been something I've been wanting to do. So yeah.
So going on that last statement about talking about autism and Fragile X, do you mind explaining what Fragile X? Because I've never even heard of it, so I'm sure many people haven't.
Well, you're right. And the good thing is it's becoming more known. When Jacob was diagnosed, he was 18 months, and even his pediatrician didn't know about it. She had sent us to a neurologist because they thought he was having absence seizures, the staring seizures. And the neurologist thankfully was very familiar with it and picked up on some of his features and characteristics, and the fact that my family, here he is right now. Hey, can you come say hi to everybody quick? On my, come here and say hi.
Hi, Jake.
Bringing one
Hi.
of his iPads out here to be charged.
Hello.
He's off like a flash. But the neurologist picked up on some of his physical characteristics, but also the fact that my family on my mom's side, we had several males, adults, a lot older than Jacob, had some form of mental retardation. So, you know, he mentioned this to us, and I was just like, you know, I didn't know what it was, but I, of course, went home and researched it and kind of was a little upset because I was pregnant at the time with my other son. And when you are a carrier, which I am, there is a 50-50 chance of you passing it to your son. Because you're either give him your affected Fragile X or your good X. So it turned out my cousin, who is a year younger than me, has Fragile X with autism. We compare him a lot to, if you saw the movie Rain Man, he's very, very much like him. And he's just wonderful and a joy too. But then two of my mom's cousins had sons that also had delays. They were never really diagnosed with anything other than just retardation at that time, but we're talking like 40, 50 years ago when they were diagnosed. But our doctor, the neurologist, picked up on that and he tested for him and lo and behold, Jacob was positive for that. So then thinking back, we kind of knew that my mom was a carrier and passed it to me. But then we also found out my cousin did have Fragile X, and my mom having 3 brothers and 4 sisters. Two of her brothers had it, did not seem to be affected by it, and then 3 of her sisters were carriers. So we have had several other individuals that have gotten the diagnosis of Fragile X. So some of my cousin's children on my mom's side. Like I said, Jake's pediatrician at the time had never heard of it. We immediately had him in speech and language therapy and physical therapy and occupational therapy. And some of those people had heard of it. And once in a while through his grade school years, we would find someone that, you know, else that had it or had heard of it. But I've talked to Jennifer about this. I work at Children's Hospital here in Milwaukee, and I've been there 20 years, and it's interesting that over that time when I first started there, we always have a lot of new doctors coming through, young doctors, and a lot of them at that time also had never heard of it. But the good news is a lot of the young residents and stuff now, they all know about it. So they're teaching about it.
That's
The
great.
fact that it's an X-linked inherited form of, it's actually the most common reason for mental retardation next to Down syndrome now.
Hmm.
So I think it was Jennifer I had the conversation with, that I think they
Yeah.
are offering the test now to new mothers.
Mm.
I
to
read about
test
that.
for it.
Yeah.
And especially I think because more doctors are learning about it, and probably OBGYNs and pediatricians, that I think if they see a red flag of a family history with some autism or something with, disabilities, that they might, say you might want to push them in the direction that, they might want to be tested. I don't know that they automatically do it, because I don't know how much you guys know about chromosome testing, but there's a lot of just kind of automatic chromosome testing, but Fragile X is not one of them. There's 2 special tests that they do for it. So you kind of have to know and specifically test for it. So
Yeah. I noticed when you were talking about this, you were mentioning a lot of history in your family that really
Mhm.
branched out.
Yep.
So this is something a lot of people don't know about.
Right.
But like, so when you're interested in possibly being tested, because there is a prenatal test or be tested, that you may be a carrier, you may be able to look to family history. But like, for example, I don't know if I have any of that in my family. We do have
Right.
autism on my husband's side, right?
Okay.
So several people, but like, we didn't think, well, let's get our kids tested
Right.
for this. There isn't a test for that, but it's awesome. There's a test for Fragile X. My question is, like, who would you suggest then, like, should have their like little feelers on for this, like, and that they might want to get tested to see if they're a carrier? Or do many families have this history, or is it more of a rare family thing?
Most of the families that I've encountered or know, or support groups, it seems to me that somewhere in the family history, there's other kiddos. There's actually some families who like have quite a few kids, and like have probably 2 or 3 sons with it. And it's not that females cannot have it. It's just one, it presents a little differently. And 2, because they're getting an X from their father, the good X sometimes compensates for the fragile X. So symptoms cognitively for boys are usually trouble with speech or nonverbal, hyperactivity sometimes, ADD, ADHD, anxiety, autistic tendencies or behaviors. Girls, it's funny that they can have those things, but they also have more of a tendency to be shy.
Can anyone else hear her?
Yes, Karen, we can't hear you.
Because carriers, they're finding, have a lot of symptomology too, but not good at math, not good at math. And that kind of goes for the boys too, even if they're higher functioning. So I told Jen in our conversation, there are different levels, kind of just like autism, that you can be, very, very minimally affected, or you can be severely affected.
That is really interesting. Did you say, I'm sorry, you were talking, so we lost a little bit of the end of what you were talking about. But did you mention the physical characteristics that parents can look for as well? Because I know when we were talking, there's also physical characteristics in addition to all of the other characteristics.
Yes. one of the main ones of the face is larger ears. And not necessarily sticking out, but because Jake's don't stick out, but he has fairly large ears. But when he was a baby, we noticed it. But my husband's father, my father-in-law, had very large ears. So we just attributed it to that. The other thing is most of them, if they're blue-eyed, they have very light, pretty light blue eyes. As they grow older, they tend to have a more elongated oval face rather than a round. I'm trying to think. A lot of them, Jacob is one of them, they have hypotonia, which is low muscle tone, so they're kind of flappy. Or they can have laxity in their, muscles, and their skin can be kind of like a loose feeling. They can have more after puberty and large testicles. Most of the boys do. Flat feet. And flat feet is kind of a characteristic that pretty much anyone on the spectrum, whether you're a carrier or an affected individual. My mom is a carrier, and she has had the most problems with her feet forever because they're so flat. Like there's no arch at all. They're just like that. When Jake was 5, we went out to Denver, Colorado Children's Hospital to be evaluated because the expert pediatrician was located there, and that's actually where the National Fragile X Foundation is based. So we headed out there with my parents. We were part of some studies, and Jake was evaluated, and they do all of that. They measure the head. They do tend to have larger heads sometimes. But a lot of times, just to look at them, they don't look any different. I know a lot of times it took people a little bit of watching and observing his behavior when he was little to realize there was anything different, because he didn't really have any extreme, facial features. But yeah, they did a full physical, and it was very cool to be a part of that and be able to go out there and do that. But her husband actually is a genetic scientist who works with finding medicine and interventions that help for helping people with Fragile X, and they work together. And gosh, they're probably in their 70s now, and they're still going strong, but they work out of UC Davis in California now. But yeah, so those are the physical characteristics. There's a lot of repetition, even if they're verbal. They have a lot of repetitive speech.
That's also common with autism, as well as I wanted to mention large head, because people that are born with autism, their brains grow faster. So often they have a large head. So
I know,
that
right?
might
That
be
was something I
partial.
was thinking about. Like some of the things that she talks about with Fragile X also share with autism. Like they tend to have bigger ears, elongated faces, bigger heads. It's the foot one though. That one's Fragile X all the way.
The foot one?
Yeah, the foot one. I've never heard about that one. That's interesting.
It's bizarre, truly. But yeah, there is a big connection. I think the latest statistic I read was that 6% of the population with autism has Fragile X. Whether they know it or not, I don't know. But that is the data that I was researching. So a lot of, I think physicians in the know or neurologists in the know, if they had someone come to them, they would probably, if they had autism, if they found that there was other either physical characteristics or behaviors, that they might, just go ahead and test for it. One of the other physical, most of our kiddos are, I shouldn't speak because we're lucky, but to be honest, there's not a lot of illness with Fragile X. They can have mitral prolapse in their heart. Jake's had 2 echocardiograms. He has very, very, very little indication that he has anything wrong there. A lot of them have seizure disorder. So that might be one of the things that you hear with a child with Fragile X or a person with Fragile X. But other than that, they don't have like, stomach issues or, not a lot of other health ailments. Jake actually has an amazing immune system. And
Yeah.
we think that's because he's always put stuff in his mouth and he still, is a chewer and tends to mouth everything. So he's built
Yeah.
himself up a good
Yeah, my
immune-
son's the same way. Well, he won't, not anymore, but when he was younger, like, yeah, his
Yeah.
immune system still
Yeah.
rocks. Also something else he said that ticked the autism boxes, the seizures. 1 in 3 people with autism have a seizure disorder. So that's very
Yeah.
common there too. So there's a lot of overlap
There
between
is.
these
There
2
is.
diagnoses. I know Corey had a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have my dog Biscuit here with me.
So cute.
Thank you. I was wondering, I'm totally blanking out.
About our dog?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. Well, we had, this is our second dog as a family. We had, our previous dog was a Terry Poo and he lived to be 16. And actually we bought him for both boys. We have another son, Austin, who's 2 years younger than Jake. And he really wanted a dog. And we thought, oh, that'd be great because, maybe that's something that, would really be a good thing for Jake. Well, Jake really never paid any attention to the dog. And I think because Jake never paid any attention to the dog never really grew close to him or bothered him or anything. But we have a new dog. She's 1.5 years, Winnie. And she's still very much a puppy. So a lot of times she likes to get near Jake or sit near Jake or jump on him. And he'll like kind of put out his hand and stuff. He doesn't seek her out, but he also doesn't like push her away. I think he kind of likes her. I think, he enjoys her, but she'll even go in and jump on his bed and stuff. And he has no problem with it, but he doesn't like seek her out like for comfort or anything. I know a lot of people with autism do.
Yeah,
She
Biscuit's
brings me a lot of joy
my
and my
favorite
husband a lot
sport.
of joy. She's so sweet and just so fun. But it was one of those things we kind of hoped he would have a connection with, but just not something that interests him, I guess. But like I said, she doesn't bother him. He would never do anything to her. He's fine with her, but he just, hasn't a lot of interest. But
People just aren't dog people.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
got a pooch in my room right now. I was trying to show you because I
Aw.
figured, oh look, here's my dog too.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
no, she was not having it.
Yeah. Our dog is a daddy's girl. So when daddy gets home from work, she's glued to him because she's like up there right now. There's no way she'll come down to make an appearance. She's got her daddy. But yeah, we have a cat too, and she's very indifferent to everybody, as cats can be. So he doesn't pay much mind to her either. But yeah. I know a lot of other Fragile X individuals who do have dogs and enjoy them, but it's just not his thing.
Yeah. So oh no, I had a question already here.
And I probably interrupted you.
No, actually, I think I interrupted you.
Okay.
So you talked about how he likes to watch the TV and play. Watch sports in particular. Does he like
Yeah.
playing sports?
So he, up until before COVID, a little bit before COVID, he had done a Special Olympics program here for quite a few years called Basketball Skills. So they would do competitions with different basketball things, and he actually was pretty good at it, and he really liked it. Unfortunately, the gentleman who ran the program for our group retired, and they never found anyone to fill his spot. But it's one of the things I intend to try and get him back into. But the nice thing is at his day program, it's actually at the same location where he did a lot of his Special Olympics. And it's a great location. It's in one of our parks, and they have a building, and they have their own, it's right on the lake, Lake Michigan. They have their own play area. They have their own basketball stuff. So they can do it indoors or outdoors. So he gets, to do all that stuff regardless, which is really nice because yeah, he does like, and even if he doesn't want to participate, he enjoys watching it. So, but yeah, and he did bowl quite a bit there for a long time in school and high school. He enjoyed that too.
I rock at Wii Sports Bowling, but like real life stuff, no. But you put me on a video game, I'm like getting turkeys. I'm phenomenal, but it's really embarrassing in person.
Yeah, I'm not real good either unless the bumpers are up for Jake. Then I do okay. But yeah, no, he used to be really into video games when my other son lived here. Because that was the thing. Everybody had the Nintendos and the Wiis and he was always very good at them. But since since our younger son moved out and is married, we still have it, but he's not very interested in it.
So my dad is also autistic.
Yeah.
And it's really funny because when my mom took and bought the Wii for the family, right? She had to throw that thing out because he wouldn't he wanted to beat her, but he also didn't want any help beating her. So he would literally keep her up till like 6 a.m. in the morning, 7 a.m. in the morning to play the Wii with him.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we still have ours. We just haven't played it. I keep thinking I'm gonna get out of one of these.
She chucked it. She chucked it so hard, man.
If you
was out of the house so quickly.
I'll
make sure to tell him.
That's awesome.
So,
all right, two
Corey,
questions.
do you have any more? Oh,
I have two questions, and we wrap this up. Okay. So my first question is I wanted to ask you what inspired you to. I know you said you wanted to do this for a while, but what inspired you to start this online advocacy group, which is awesome. You put great educational resources on there, inspirational stuff, which we all need to hear, especially if we have extra stuff going on. And you also share some really personal videos, which are heartwarming and wonderful to see.
Yeah.
And I was also wondering why you chose to name it Life with Jake, and why when you did create this advocacy and educational group, you decided to center it around your lives.
Yeah. I don't know if I told you, I think I may have told you that I had just another family pop up on my feed. Actually, I've been having more pop up now, but I've had a family pop up on my feed called Cody Speaks. And I would recommend you checking it out. Cody Speaks is the page on Facebook. And it is a family with, their son is, I think, 25, and he has autism. And then they have a 27-year-old son who, actually, when I started following them probably almost a year ago now, he was getting ready to move out on his own with his girlfriend. And so it just really, like, it was so relatable to me because their boys are almost the same ages. Our son moved out and got married, and they're amazing parents, and the mom, she shares a lot, and I just felt there were so many similarities between their struggles with their son and with what we've had gone through. And after I got thinking about it, I'm like, I mean, I still enjoy her page and I still talk with her on her page, but I thought I should be doing something like this because I don't think, and I think I asked her early on if her son had, if she knew if her some.
I'm hoping
Is
she'll come
everyone else
back.
still here?
No, yes, but I'm hoping she'll start talking again.
It's not the most clear all the time. It's not always perfect, but I mean, the way they work with him is just so inspiring. And I thought, I should do something like that because, like I said, the whole Fragile X thing, I've seen a lot of families with autism and their children on Facebook and other things, and I've never heard it mentioned. So I thought, I think it would be good to get the, information out there, and, maybe if it's something that sounds familiar to someone with an
Yes.
individual they have, even if it's not their own child, or if it's a nephew or a grandchild. And sometimes on the Facebook support pages for Fragile X, once in a while, there'll be a parent who just had a child tested, and it ends up coming back negative, but they'll say how helpful it's been to them to at least talk to other people who know what it's like to have a child with special needs and autism and stuff. So I thought, you know what, why not share our story? I think it would be helpful, and
Yeah,
I've enjoyed doing it.
I love that you do. And, often in life, we think, well, this would be great to have, but it's not out there. So then you think, well, if not me, then who, right? So
Right.
it's
Right.
awesome that you took that on to do. And I'm sure it's going to be huge and change a lot of lives. This
Oh, thank
interview is
you.
going to be super helpful. And my last question
Awesome.
was, you're great at answering questions before you can even ask them. You're like the perfect person to interview. Like, you've answered all of our questions on these pages, and we've
Oh,
only asked you like 2 of them.
Good.
You're
Good.
absolutely
And
great
you know
at
where to
this.
find me if you have more.
Yeah,
I'm a chatter, so.
You're doing
I know.
great.
I was like, I didn't even get a chance to like pass it off to Corey because we had this whole thing planned, like who we were gonna pass it off to.
Yeah, you
Like, oh
just
my
totally threw
goodness,
us
Corey's
off.
gonna be upset. I didn't even get a chance to pass it off to Corey.
But my last question was, you kind of answered it, you at least touched on it, is okay, so you're a parent and your child has autism, you're watching this. But a lot of the things that you're saying are starting to click, or maybe like you said, they know somebody who has this. What
Mhm.
would you encourage them to do? If they think, okay, maybe my son has this, what if they may be a carrier, like the kind of health, I know some health issues can happen later in life with that. Like, what would
Yeah.
you encourage someone who's listening to this interview and is like, ding, 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 okay, this is sounding really familiar to me.
Picking off
with
the
their child.
boxes, yeah.
Yeah,
I would definitely, if they're seeing a pediatrician, talk to their pediatrician. This day and age, like I said in the beginning, chances are they've at least heard of it. And if, they want to share, with their pediatrician or their physician, if it's an older individual, kind of make a list of what you're noting is going on. I think if you go in there prepared with like what you're seeing and what you're kind of put together from research and just, saying, I think I'd like to, get some more definitive answers on what's going on here. I don't think many doctors out there would deny a parent to like, especially if there's like my family where there was a big family history. But even so, I think, just from what I've seen on the family support pages for Fragile X, there's a lot of parents who are just struggling for answers. And I think most pediatricians probably who are seeing that child or individual are probably also want to get to the bottom of what's causing it. So I think most of them would be open to listening. So I would very much tell them, advocate for your child and just say, I've been doing some research, and this kind of ticks all the boxes or a lot of the boxes. Is this something that we could test for? there's been a few parents I've saw that they've actually had to even go to other doctors when their own doctor didn't. But eventually someone will listen. You just, and I'm sure you guys all know this, you have to advocate for yourself and you have to advocate for your child, because if you don't, no one will. And if you don't insist sometimes, you know, people, you know, we're in the day and age of people like to make fun of people for Googling everything, and, you know, but there's good and bad with that. I mean, I think it's really a good thing for people who are struggling to find the answers. And I think I've posted quite a few things from the National Fragile X page, but I will continue to add stuff. But fragilex.org, their page is amazing. They have research on it. They have studies. They have the exact names of the tests that you need to ask for and that need to be done, because that's very important. Like I said, some people think this chromosome array test will find it, but it won't. And so you've not only wasted like your money or insurance, you know, issues, but poking your kid for blood that is a kid that maybe is really, it's hard for them. So you really want to make sure that they're doing the right test. But so that site is just an amazing site for info. So I will continue to post that on my page. So if you know of anybody who wants more
Absolutely.
information.
We will
Def-
also share what you share on our page. We have
Yeah.
it set up in a guide so that
Okay.
if you have like, I don't know, a day, you just like go through all our stuff back to the beginning. So it will
Yeah.
be, you know, bookmarked in there for other people to see. And we're definitely going to be sharing some information about Fragile X over the next week. We appreciate so much, Karen, you taking the time to talk to us about this and
No,
to teach
I
us about
appreciate
this.
you guys inviting me. Gosh,
much.
I love it.
Oh, we
Anytime I can
enjoyed
get
you.
info out there. Yeah.
And thank you for the resources so that parents know where to look and
Yeah.
what to ask and where to
Yeah.
find out which tests work. Well, we
Yeah.
have incredibly enjoyed this time. And if anybody has
Thank
any
you. I have
questions,
too.
once we post this or on our YouTube channel, you can post questions. We'll have Karen answer you. But
Okay.
boy, Karen, you're good. You've answered all the questions we have and like
Oh,
20 we didn't. So I
thank
can
you.
confirm
And if,
this.
And we
and if
had
you
the,
have any more, please ask. I know there's some stuff we probably didn't touch on, but yeah, and if I don't know the answer, I will certainly try and get the answer. So
Well, we
thank you all
appreciate
for
that.
your interest, and I appreciate meeting you all.
Well, we're
yeah,
excited
and
to
I'm
have
so
you on
glad that we
board.
got I'm so glad we got the chance to meet Jake for a second too.
Oh, I know, he made a cameo.
Yeah, he's
I'm
awesome.
gonna try and get some more videos on there too, even of when he was real little, because those are fun too. So
Yeah.
he'll always be my little boy, and his brother will always be the little big brother.
Yeah, I know how that is. Trust me.
Yeah.
My son hates
Yeah.
it. I didn't stop calling him baby. Like sometimes that was my pet name for him until he was like maybe like a year or two ago. But I did it once in public and he was like so horrified. It's hard to know. It's hard to let them grow up, and Sam is growing up, so I get your pain.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
And he's gonna be like, Mom, why did you put that on the internet?
Mhm.
That was
Yeah.
not necessary.
Well, thankfully, Jake doesn't go on Facebook. That's probably the one thing he doesn't go on. Yeah, that's the one thing I forgot to tell you is he can read. So he can type in the search engine for YouTube
Okay.
he knows it's winter now, so he's starting to search for Christmas songs. So he types in Frosty Sing Song, and then Frosty the Snowman comes up.
Aw.
I
Yeah.
love
Cute.
the setup he had with the screen, the TV and the screens. That's exactly how I do it too.
Yeah, yeah, the NASA setup, I call it.
Yeah.
One's enough for me. I
Yeah,
can't
I know,
handle that.
I know. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Have a
Thank you
great
so much.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
It was
It was a
really
pleasure
awesome
to meet
talking
you.
to you. Thanks for your time,
You too.
Karen.